inflation data for the month of May. WPI at 4.43%. My consulting editor and in-house expert Maithili Busnumar joining us. Hi Maithili, 4.43% in March as against 3.18% in April. I think everybody had been anticipating a spike, but maybe not such a big spike.
Oh, well, yes, you are entirely right, because a spike was expected, particularly given that in the WPI, it is the fuel, power and manufactured sectors that have a much higher weightage than in the consumer price index. But even in the previous month, we had seen an increase from 2.47 to 3.17, and now we are increase of more than 1 percentage point, which is a huge increase. The only consolation is that the WPI really doesn't matter very much as far as the RBI is concerned, because it targets CPI, but no central bank can be completely indifferent to a very important gauge of inflation, and this clearly suggests that inflation is on the uptick, and this is true not only in India but all over the world, because we've seen the US inflation numbers. They are 2.8% as per the latest number, and the Fed has already acted and has said it's going to act even faster. So clearly the Reserve Bank of India was entirely right to hike rates at its last meeting. The question is that will it hike rates in August? I think given the data that's coming, it will certainly hike in August again.
Ma'am, right now we are at the peak as far as the base effect for any hike in, YOY inflation number is concerned. Do you think that that will slow down? That is something which, every economist and central bankers would take into account?
Oh yes, of course, you do need to consider base effect, but as we have seen, since the US economy and the US Federal Bank is virtually de facto the central bank for the entire world, and they have sent a very clear signal that in the US inflation is picking up, the economy is perhaps close to overheating, unemployment there is at an 18-year low. So all these suggest that globally, at least in the US, which is the most important economy for the world at large, inflation is picking up. At the same time, we have seen oil prices trend up. Yes, we bought some peace on the oil front given the kind of agreement between Saudi Arabia and Russia, but overall inflation is likely to pick up, particularly since oil prices are unlikely to cool down as dramatically as in the past. So I would think that even though base effects do matter, clearly going forward, as the economy and capacity utilization even in India picks up, inflation is likely to pick up. Also remember that in the summer months we invariably see food prices go up, because the summer months invariably shows a seasonal effect of food prices picking up before they cool down again in the winter months. So overall, I do think that any central bank will have reason to be concerned. Whether they will hike in August, frankly, or whether they will just change their stance to hawkish remains to be seen. A lot depends on how the data pan out going forward.